Hello everyone, Barada Guitars here again, and in today's video we're gonna do an open source CNC machine tele project, so you can download the files, do your projects by your own on your CNC machines at home or wherever you want. Today's video we're gonna start with upgrading my CNC machine. I just want to have more height, more space, more playing room to work with. There is nothing wrong about 8.5 centimeter, but it's just my choice to upgrade and have more ability to do more things and higher objects. With almost 6 millimeter, I have enough strength to do this upgrade. I don't need anything more than that. And starting this upgrade by checking the thickness, the width of the hole, that everything is perfect. And I did also engrave this logo by the same company that cut this part for me, which is called O-Steel. You can check the link down below in the description box if you wanna cut some custom part. It's very easy and simple, just upload the file and you have them sent to you. And now starting with removing all the wheels, I will just take them with the same order and put them again on the new gantry wings. And I didn't change any thickness with the wings, so I don't have to change any screws or anything. Everything is exactly how Mekanika made it, and I did the same for the second wings, and that's all for this step. Now, of course, putting the table again, checking the depth that I have over 12.5 centimeter, and then I can put everything, connect the cables, and start flattening the table again to have it parallel with the gantry of my CNC machine. And after flattening the table, I took a break, and then I start and turn on the machine again, get everything ready to start my tool bathing and importing the program to my CNC machine by removing the dust shoe and making sure that I have the right collet. Now let me introduce you my favorite company whenever it comes to expensive material and expensive wood, many working hours that I did on a body or neck. So here we have the Fraser Bits. Fraser Bits is a company that makes high-end and top quality, top-notch bits, and those are my favorite whenever it comes to this kind of working. And I want to have a high-end bits that I can rely on. So, and on the top of our list today we have the Tornado flattening bits with 35 millimeter width on the bottom, and you can take over to 4 millimeter depth at one bath or even more. I tried this really so roughly and the result was great. I have also this cutter that I can change them whenever I want and I don't have to throw the whole bit away. Now moving on to our 90-degree V-bit that I use mostly for marking holes, and of course it has a cutter that you can turn it to the other side and you can use the other side also and change the cutter. And as we all know, nothing is more important when you have a CNC machine than having a flat end mill bit and round nose end mill bit. Both are very important. I have two of both of them. And for the inlay I have the 0.8, which is a very tiny bit, but you need something like that. And for the fret slotting I have 0.56 millimeter. Now for the body, as you can see here clearly, it's gonna be American Swam Bash. And for holding the body on the CNC machine table, I'm gonna use this clamp system. I'm gonna try it out. I didn't have any experience with it before. I'm just trying it out for the first time. So here I'm putting my program. I'm gonna go a little bit roughly with this machine. I will push it to the limit and remove almost 2/3 of this bit. And with the depths, I'm gonna go with 3 millimeter depth, and the speed will be 2000 millimeter in minute. So let's give it a run, starting the machine, and let the spindle and the cutter head integrate with the wood. Here you can see how it has a full integration with the wood on the whole width with 35 millimeter width and 3 millimeter depth. I'm putting here my dust shoe because it's getting very messy here. I'm using a separator of my fast tool vacuum to vacuum everything, but the start was important to show it to you guys without the dust shoe, just so you can see how efficient this is. So here you can see me finishing the last pass. The result is really great. My advice for you guys to use gloves while removing and putting those sharp bits. They are really sharp. I was carefully doing that. I damaged my hand, but fortunately it was not so bad. So here I'm starting with finding my stock point, just that I can know where to start every time. I start a tool bath, and the first tool bath would be with flat end mill bit, also from Fraser as I showed you in the beginning. Here I'm starting my router and doing the pickups cavity. And just to make it clear for you guys, I'm not pro user, I'm just presenting myself as a beginner. I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, and I will show you every mistake that I did with this build so you can try to avoid it. I wanted also to push the machine to the limit so you can also go a little bit slower. And my first mistake that I want to get me a cup of tea, and then I want to start the machine from specific line as Planet Sol CNC machine allows me to do, and then in start of positioning the head of the spindle on the specific area where I stopped the CNC machine from marking, I started from other place, so the machine went with full speed inside the body, and that changed my plan. So my plan was to do the body first and keep the quilted maple top to the side. I didn't want to glue it on the top from the beginning in case of something bad happen, and this is exactly what it was happening right here. I'm glad that I didn't glue a nice top from the beginning, so there it was be no room to hide this mistake. So I will glue the top right now and glue it over the body. Now by removing the clamps, I can now take it, put it on the CNC table and just give it a small run by hand planer, and then using my templates, which is the templates that I prefer from Gitabou. They are perfect. I will let the link down below in the description box, so the people that have no access to a CNC machine, they can use them to do their tele project. And one of the reasons why I like this template, besides they are very precise, that they use every single template to do another job. For example, you have the holes for the single coil or the humbuckers, so you have a lot of options to do. Now I marked or I drew the body, so I can know where to drill to release some weight from the body, because anyway we're gonna have top, so that would be awesome. I just drill a bunch of holes until I have some weight release, and now I can clean everything up and then get the top ready after sanding it with 120 grit and getting one flat side to work with, and repairing all my clamps to have less stressful job to do while gluing the top to the body. So now cutting the top or the rest of the top that I don't need, and preparing everything. I have everything organized, ready for gluing and writing small memories between Mekanika and Barada guitars. And with putting 2 pinholes and 2 screws, I can finish and start tightening up all the clamps. Here you can see me spreading all the glue all over to not have any air, and putting 2 screws and using a very tiny drill bit to use it as a pin to hold the top in its place. Now just hear how satisfying this is. By the way, all my clamps are from Fair, and these 2 clamps, huge maxi press clamps they called, they have a huge amount of torque with over 1 ton for each one. So with both I have 2 tons plus everything that I have on the side. And after 24 hours I can remove now all the clamps, and I can go ahead and tighten it down to the CNC table. I will try also to align the bit again and then start doing the pocketing. In this case I will do two tool bathing, which is the electronic and the pickups cavity, and after that I will go and do the neck bucketing, and after that it will be the contour. Here is another mistake that I made again. I wanted to stop the machine, I stop it, and then I want to select a specific line and start from it, but instead I clicked on start from the beginning, and that caused the machine to go to the first position and want to start the bucketing from the beginning with the full length of the bit, but that would be under the cavity cover, so it's not a big deal for me. And of course, if somebody wants to buy it, I'm gonna tell him this exactly and show him the mistake that was made here, so everything will be clear. So now it's the time to run the tool bath of the neck bucket, and I just want to mention this nice feature about Planet CNC machine. I'm very thankful that Mekanika used this program, because you can slow down your feed and speed and even the speed of the spindle just from the program itself, even after programming and doing the cam settings. And moving on to this 90-degree V-bit, I will use it to mark the holes, and here is where the third mistake was made. I just want to mark the holes, but something about the depth was not correct, so it went too deep inside the hole. Instead of just making a small mark on the body or in the top, it went a little bit deeper than 2 millimeter, but this will be also covered under a bridge. So here is what the mark should looks like, and here you can see how the failure was. And moving on to doing the contour, which is the last tool path and the last mistake for the body. I couldn't make more mistakes than what I did, but here the mistake was about the dust shoe. The brushes of the dust shoe got integrated with my bit and got melted on the side of the body, but fortunately it wasn't too bad because I didn't lose any steps, and it was all about removing some burning marks on the bottom of the body using my build sander, and that's all. And for the contour, just something worth mentioning, just use a longer bit than the one that I used in this step. This has 70mm length and 6mm width. I would go with at least 100mm or 90mm length and 8mm width. That would be so easier for the machine to do, and of course it would be safer that you don't have integration with the brushes and your bit because going too low to your body. So it's just a quick advice, please correct me if I'm wrong, and every comment is welcome in the comment section. And before going any further, let me introduce you.
Hey everybody, this is Austin, and welcome back to the channel.
Austin is a very kind guy, he's a friend of mine, and we worked on this project together. He did almost all the files, and he worked on editing and making some changing to make this design a little bit unique for you guys. And by the way, Austin is putting all of his experience for you guys online on YouTube, so make sure to check his channel out. I'm sure you're gonna learn something new from him. He has a tutorial for beginners, and even if you are on the advanced level, he's solving some problems and teaching you to make something easier and more efficient. So please make sure to check his channel and let me know what do you think, guys. So I was so excited to see how this turned out. I went to the body, I loosened all the screws that holding the body to the CNC table, and I went to my bandsaw and start cutting the veneer depth that I left with. It's just a very thin piece of wood. It was almost 2 minutes left on the working process on my Planet CNC, so there was no problem with sanding it with my spindle sander. I can take it off, and here you can see how thin the bath was, but overall the whole result of the contour is very clean. I'm so happy with this shiny sides. I almost don't have to sand them, but this is work that we have to do for finishing steps. Now moving on to the neck blank and CNC machining the neck. I have here this MDF board. I will lay my neck down on it using my double-sided tape just to hold it in place, and it's strong enough to hold it in place. It's not gonna go anywhere. I will do a very fine center line just to find my center line and put the neck again to the center so I have a straight grain through the whole neck. For the steps of CNC machining the neck, I will do the front first and then the back, because I want to have something hold on it when I want to CNC machine the profile of the neck. It will be a little bit roughly, so I need more space to hold the neck with double-sided tape, so it makes much more sense to do it that way than do it the opposite way, except if you want to hold the neck with some kind of clamps, so that's up to you. But this is the way that Austin advised me to do it, and I'm following his advices. He has much more experience than me, and I'm learning a lot from him. So the tool pathing of the neck will be contouring 2/3 of the whole contour depth, and then going on to the headstock. After that, doing the holes for the tuners, and all what I've just said will be done with a flat end mill bit, so there is no need for using any round nose one. And for the last step on the front of the neck, I will use this 5mm bit to do the Trussrod channel. This Trussrod will be spoke wheel, so it's just a standard spoke wheel Trussrod. It's the thin profile, and after doing the Trussrod, I just give it a quick check to see if it fits, and I got a very tight fit, and it's exactly what I want. So moving on to flip the neck, remove it from the double-sided tape. I'm cleaning everything on the MDF just to have flatness that I want, and everything will be precise. I have 2 marks on the MDF board just to know how I flip the neck and where to flip it, just to have everything exactly the same, matching on the other side. So as you can see here, I'm doing the contour as my first tool path. After that, I will remove the rest of the blank just to have a clean look, and running my program further just to finish the whole steps that need to be done with this flat end mill bit. And they are the profile of the neck, just a raw profiling to make it easier for the round bit to do its job, and flattening the headstock and the bottom of the neck. And moving to the last step, which is the neck profiling, I'm doing this with this round end mill bit, also from Fraser, that I showed you in the beginning of the video. I programmed the bathing to be a little bit far away from each other, so I'm gonna have lines at the end, but I'm okay with that. I want to sand it anyway, but you can wait a little bit longer and have much more tighter baths, so you don't have to do so much sanding at the end. Here you can see how the lines are as showing in the picture. They are not so fine, but I could do it finer and that would be okay. Here you can see also a small line because of the alignment of the neck, and next time I will do it with insert pins. By using an extra MDF board, I will start CNC machining the fretboard. Here I paid a very expensive price, and you will see why in a minute. But before all of that, I will use double-sided tape to hold my MDF over my first MDF, and again the fretboard over them, because I couldn't reach to the fretboard using my fine fret slotting bit. So I will reduce the thickness of the fretboard using the tornado again, and I will get it to 8mm, and after that I can do the contour and move on to the radius of the fretboard, and last but not least the fret slotting. This is what you want when you want to check your tool passes if they are correct. You don't need a fine dust, you need a sawdust. All these marks you can see, but you cannot feel by hand. So I checked the flatness of the fretboard, and I changed my bit to the flat end mill bit to do the contouring. And after finishing the contouring, I cleaned everything and I started doing the radius using a round nose bit. but unfortunately the spindle went too deep and destroyed my first ebony fretboard. I went with another one, which is unfortunately in this case was a flame maple. I did the contouring, I did measure everything, and I got the same mistake again, and it went also too deep. And a third try using a rosewood fretboard, and here I discovered what was the problem, because my stuck point should be on the same original thickness, the 9mm, and I did always measure the thickness over the fretboard after removing the extra thickness from it, so the spindle or the pit was always going too deep inside my fretboard. So I did sand the body, and this time, after everything was working correctly, I checked the radius and everything was exactly how I want it to be. And now moving to the last step of this build, which is the fret slotting using this tungsten tiny bit from Fraser. Fraser made this also from tungsten, and tungsten is much more stronger than the titanium, and of course obviously much more stronger than the steel regarding to its size, so it giving it much more strength and it won't break so easy. But even though you have to go very slowly, like maximum 500mm per minute. And until this point you reach the end of this build. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like if you want to. If you dislike, just dislike it, and please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'll be happy to see you there. And of course a big thanks for Austin for making this come true. I will be happy to see and hear how your projects turned out. You can let me know down below in the comment section, and I will catch you in the next video. And until then, peace.